Okay, so here we are again, freeze team session. What number are we on? 4, I think. Anyway, today I'm going to try to build a Blazor CLI. But first thing you do is I need to test my audio to make sure it looks like it's working. Anyway, today I'm going to try to hear myself talking on the Twitch channel. Okay, so that's working. So we're a little bit prepared, but got a lot of questionable things. So last week we did the domain-specific CLI, and a lot of that code that I built last week, we're going to try and pull into this Blazor CLI, which is our goal. We'll see if we can pull it off. To start with, let's do a little history. Actually, today I just released the Blazor templates, so let's start there. Let's pull that up here on NuGet. I'm going to go here, show you this. So throw this in the chat session. So that's the new templates that come out. We updated to preview 6 Blazor state, and now the templates are supporting preview 6 as well. Find any bugs, I just released it like minutes ago. That says 10 minutes ago. It's more like an hour and 10 minutes ago. If I refresh that page, probably an hour ago, yeah. But nonetheless, if you see anything there, problems, just yell. So we're going to start with that template, and to install those templates, right here is your command. Well, that's to add the packages. That's not true. What we want to do is go to the documentation, right? So Blazor state. Yeah, let's go there. And then it's going to say Blazor template. Let's see. There you go. So to install that, you're going to install it like this. So .NET new ---- install timewarp-ASP.NET Core Blazor templates. And to use it, it's going to do this. And that's what we're going to do to start off the base. I've already done a little test here. There's a CLI test. So we're going to change directory back out of there. And then we're going to do exactly what that says. .NET new -o. The n, -n or -o, basically the same. One names it, one gives it an output directory. And we're going to do Blazor CLI. Why not? Let that generate, shouldn't take but a second. Change directory into the Blazor CLI, and then I'm going to do a .NET build. Just make sure we're okay. I've got my domain-specific shell. This is the CLI test. I'm going to move that out of the way. Yes, we're going to forget again. Let's go to the right live scene so you can see the screen. And yes, we need to minimize this up here so that my head's not in the way for that. And Visual Studio. Okay. So now that I've already screwed up, just par for the course here, I go back to, here's the NuGet gallery page. I put that link in there already, and here is how to install the template. And these are the apps that the things you're going to get out of it. Okay, so I fixed myself there, and we've already generated the app. Now we're going to make sure ls, let's see. Oops, I can't spell. Blazor CLI solution. We're going to open that in Visual Studio. I'm going to move my notes here out of the way. Maybe. And the app's coming up in Visual Studio. Excuse me. Okay. There we have it. Let's collapse everything and do an F6 and make sure all builds. All right, so I've got my notes here a little bit. So we created the new timer Blazor template. What we're going to use is we're going to try to use the same thing that we did before, and that's that system command line experimental, which sounds extremely weird, putting it into a browser application, and I hope that it works. We'll see. Also, we're going to do the we're going to build a little console component inside of Blazor to host the thing. We might actually start there because that side should work no matter what we do, right? All right, so let's see, where do we want to put it? Let's go to the old famous counter page here. Eventually the CLI probably would put in a layout and have some way to trigger it, to turn it on or off, right? Or maybe like on a role-based thing, make it for those administrators, or have some specific role we can turn it on and off. But for now, let's create a component. Wait, I was trying to run the thing first, wasn't I? Build it, prove that it runs, because maybe nobody's seen the template. We do have Bootstrap as our basic template. It's not the purple. It's not the purple page. I love the purple color. Maybe I'll change mine just to be purple, but I got rid of all of the custom styles that they have. So everything in the template is styled using basic Bootstrap. You'll see, I don't believe we even have, what do I have in the site CSS? Anything? Yeah, import that, which is my goal, because if you're going to use Bootstrap, I say use Bootstrap the best you can. You'll see it run here momentarily. Remember that when UBS is running, the system gets just really slow, so I apologize for that, but you know, what I can do about it. Let's set this guy as our startup. I don't know why it's not showing me that in the drop-down list. Do it this way. And I don't like I was picking the wrong drop-down list, that's fine. I don't like IIS Express. I want to do it here so I can just see messages. All right, so let's not even run it in the brown debugger. Let's just Control F5 and fire up the template. And then I'll go over that a little bit to explain what's there and then how we're going to use it. And yes, it is slow when UBS is running. And it drops frames on the video too. It's saying it's dropping like 13% frames 2 minutes ago, which is bad, but I don't know what else I'm supposed to do about it unless I buy another machine just to host a switch session. All right, so here we have it. Let's bring that over here by itself. And this is the template. So it's pretty much the same thing. It's just got a nicer menu on it that's actually functional. The server side down here in the bottom left, which I'm guessing can't be seen because of my head. What? Yeah, we'll just do this. And resize the window a little bit here. Now we can see. Maybe that's far enough over out of the way. I believe so. Yeah, that's out of the way. Okay, so server side down here tells us which side that we're running on, and the first time that you run the application, it downloads the client side version in the background, but it actually executes and runs from the server side. So this should still work. Click, 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 clicks, right? So this is all running server side. But if I click refresh, and I can quickly go over how that's working. So caches everything in the background because I actually run it in another session. But to determine where you're at, I have, if I can get the daggone, there you go, come down here please. Execution side says this. So here we're going to say to force side set this to client or server. If you don't force anything, the first time it's going to be run on the server, and the second time, or refresh, here I'll show you. We'll refresh this page. Actually, it waits 10 seconds, is what I think I have configured and there you see now we're running again, and we're now running on the client side. So now that's how it works, and this stuff still works here. I'm going to make a local storage session state. You notice that we lost the state when you refresh the page. I'm going to make a plugin for the Blazor state middleware. Since all you have to do is really plug into the pipeline before a command is issued, that shouldn't be too difficult to just say store the state in local storage after the command has been completed, right? So I'm gonna make that its on the to-do list. It just hasn't happened yet. It's very small though. I don't see it being a big deal. What I don't know to include it in Blazor state itself or make it a separate package. The reason is because local storage, I think Sainty has one. Let's see, Sainty local storage. I think Chris Sainty has made Blazor local storage right there, right? And that's probably what I'm going to use for that side. Though I don't believe the source code is too ridiculously difficult. But why reinvent the wheel when Chris is really good? So let's go look at the site. Oh, I went to the wrong spot, probably the same spot though, so it's okay. Yeah, so here's your source code. Let's take a look. So I've got local storage JavaScript here. He's got a handful of events. Local storage service he's exposing. So like I said, it's not a ton, right? But let's just use what Chris has. So I'll probably pull that in, but I don't want to put in a bunch of dependencies because this week I've experienced that same issue that I had a PR out for a dependent library, the Anyclone library. Last time the guy was extremely responsive, and I'm just assuming that he's either on vacation this week, he hasn't seen it, but I have to wait nonetheless. So what I did was I just did a mygit and I included the source. I digress. Let's get back to our CLI. Anyway, so no local storage there. That's how you turn this thing on and off. And most of the time today, we're going to force client side. Shouldn't matter now because you've already downloaded it, but there you go. Now we're explicit. So the goal is to add onto this page a command line interface someplace. Because we're streaming, I'm going to put that command line component right at the top of this counter page in here. And I haven't built it yet, so I don't know what I'm going to do. It's just going to be some text area with some inputs and outputs, I guess, to see. And what we're going to try to do is be able to fire off via the command line this event, which in the background here, let's blow this guy up a little bit and go to Redux. So Redux will be firing over here, and whenever I click this button, I have the event streams running as well, but you'll see here we'll have that we fired off this method, increment counter action, and passed in this amount. So all of the user interactions are done via actions, so we can guarantee that our state, that's the whole point in Blazor state, our state management tool, using the command pattern. So everything is a mediator command. So what we're going to try to do is add a text area, CLI, in here that can basically create this command and send it down the pipeline, right? But we want to try to get it a little bit more fancy to where we can automatically pull in all of the actions that are available to us, to the user, and let them do any of them via the command line inside of the app. So you can basically automate the entire user interaction on website from a script, or at least from a shell at this point. Okay, let's give it a whirl. All right, so that's how the thing runs, or looks like when it's running. Here's our client. We did the pages. We said we want to do it on the counter page is where we're going to put it. And we're going to put it right up here. This is going to be called Blazor CLI. Not CLIE, but Blazor CLI. Right? It's trying to help me with IntelliSense, but in this case, that's not what I want. Component doesn't exist, so it's complaining. So let's do a create one. Let's take a look. What survey prompt have in its back end? As parameter, right? Whatever. Blazor location. This is the one that is actually showing you which side things are running on. And it pulls into service Blazor hosting location, which determines if it's client side or not, and it just basically shows client side or server side. It's a real simple component, but quite handy, nice to know real easily. Even in production mode, you could leave it on, just make it not turn it such a big thing, hide it someplace that's small or only display in developer mode or something like that. Or if you're an admin role or something again. Same with the CLI that we're going to do probably. Okay, so let's build one in here. I'm going to copy one of these guys. Actually, I'm not going to copy one of those guys. I'm just going to do Shift F2 and say Blazor CLI dot Razor. Okay, there's that. Now I'm going to do Shift F2 and I'm going to say, oops, I missed the Shift F2, I guess. Shift F2 and I'm going to say Blazor. Blazor CLI dot Razor dot CS. Okay, so that's going to be my code behind. What am I going to put? We're going to change this to base. For now, the next version, we were told, I haven't checked the roadmap to see, the next version should have partial class support, which would be nice. Format this baby. Alright, so now this thing's going to have to inherit from I would normally inherit from base component, right? But I don't think I'm going to use any state on this guy at all. So I think we're safe. Like survey prompt here, I don't think he inherits from, nope, see he's inherit from component base. And I think I can get away with the same because we're not going to use any state, so I don't need any subscriptions on this guy. We could make our own CLI state, right? That would maintain the history or something like that of commands, but that's way too much for this go around. Be happy if I can get the thing to work. All right, so we're going to go with component base. I have no idea what properties I'm going to put in this thing. What am I going to use for? What am I going to use? Where am I? Here. At inherits. And it's going to be that Blazor CLI base class, right? And then maybe I'll end up putting a div in here. Let's just do this to start with, Blazor CLI. Now I've got a component. There's nothing behind it in the background, right? But who cares? It's good enough. And we added it to the local page, right? Counter page. We put Blazor CLI there. So let's run and see if that shows up at the top. And then obviously we're going to change it. It doesn't even build. That's too bad. Circular base class dependency involving Blazor CLI. What are you talking about? Oh, probably because of Got namespaces, trouncing on namespaces. Oh yes, we named the whole thing. We want a component named Blazor CLI, right? But we named the whole project Blazor CLI, so it's complaining about namespaces. So there's Blazor CLI client here, and it's like, what the heck is that? So if we say, yuck, I shouldn't have named it Blazor CLI at the package name, should I? I guess not. Alright, lesson learned. Now, Blazor CLI, instead of Blazor CLI, let's just call it CLI. How's that? F2, oh shoot. Oh, it named them both for us, didn't it? Alright, so good. And this is going to be CLI base. And then we're going to go over here to CLI base. This is why you make it the simplest possible thing to compile first, because inevitably you broke something. And it's not turning. It's still red, but let's compile anyway to see if it works. See if it works. It's going to fail because I didn't change it on the page, did I? Counter page razor. We can make this CLI. Yeah, I'm happier now. If I did it before, it would have been quicker. So see, this Blazor CLI is the name of the page. Counter page. Let's do controller 5 again. I don't know what the heck just happened. Honestly. Oh, I've got it running in the background still. Let me kill that one. Why is it complaining? The type of namespace could not be found. CLI base, there it is. Blazor CLI client components. Blazor CLI client components. Here we go. Running, and there is our Blazor CLI. Okay, so we've got a control there anyway. That's a start. All right, now what I want to do is add in the text box. So I've been told that when I'm doing this, I'm looking at this screen, my camera's right on the top of the monitor there. That looks like I'm staring people dead in the eye. I guess that's better than my normal view is my ear over here, where I'm looking at my other screen for my reference material. All right. All right, so where did my reference material go? Not that guy, not this guy. Nope, that's the wrong screen. That's your screen. And how about this one? Yeah, kill that, kill this. Okay, so let's go over here to our little component and let's make it better. Let's make it better. Alright, so what am I going to want? What am I going to want in this thing? I'm going to want a text area at some point, right? So let's just leave that header on there like that. Let's throw in a text area. Alright, so yeah, so what's going to be inside that text area? Alright, so I'm going to want to put some sort of we're going to have to attach an event to like whenever they type, because we want to catch tab. I don't know what, this red drives me nuts. It worked. Why is it complaining? Let's see if I open it back up. Yeah, close it, open back up. This time it figured out that shouldn't be red. All right, so there's a CLI inside the text area. I'm going to want to put something around. Let's just start off with some placeholder text that says, what are we going to say? Enter command. All right, so that would throw out a text area. How big is that text area going to be? Well, we'll size it. We'll size it later. Down here, let's put in a style tag, right? And then we can style things right in line in this component itself. Figure out how we want them to be. Okay, so if I run this, should see a little placeholder in there. What I'm thinking though, I'm going to put commands the text area, and then will my output be inside the text area also? How do I want that to look? And then when we start this bad boy, yeah, so what properties am I going to have behind the scene? Right? Right? So that we have something that gets displayed. And while I'm thinking, let's kick off and run this so we can see what it looks like. I'm looking at a little example over here on the side, all done in JavaScript. And I'm trying to copy that look and feel. All right, so here's my Blazor CLI, came back up. Let's go to the counter page. There you go. So you have that thing in there. We can type in, yo, hear me. All right, so type in whatever we want. We've got the placeholder text. There we go. So we can drag that, make that bigger, which is kind of cool, you know. I mean, really cool, actually. All right, so there is our console. We should probably style this thing, right, and so forth, but yeah, so how do I put something inside that text area? How do I put something inside the text area? All right, let's see if I can't figure out that. What does that do? So input, output. All right, what's it gonna do? So we would like it to be like a console.writeLine, right? So let's see if we can't do that. Let's add some properties to this class. All right, so let's do a string to start with, and let's say what is the value inside of the text area, right? So if I just bind it to it, let's just put some property. Let's just put some state here that we're going to put in there. What are we going to call it? The console? That's what it is, right? Console. Let's maybe call it output. But at the same time, it's going to be the input. Shoot. I'm not exactly sure how you take that text area, you put some stuff in it. All right, well, let's just throw output in it right now, and let's default it to there's some default output, and then let's go to the item and put in here, let's see, that text area. value inside the text area. What do I want it to bind? I want to bind it to. So we want to @bind to our value. We can hit the @ button, and what was it? Output? That guy. All right, okay. Now, run again. This should work, right? What's the bind's going to be to the default thing? It should be value on the text area. W3C, look that up if I have to. Let's go give this a shot again. And now we should have the little text area with the default output on the inside. All right, so here comes our screen. And we're going to go to counter. And there it is. There's our default output that shows up. So that's bound. Now, if I leave that box, that should have updated this. Should have updated the state in the component. But of course, I couldn't tell at this point, but it did. All right, so there's our output. Now, I need to add. We're going to need to add some functions here, right? I don't like the name output. So what's the iConsole? I wonder what iConsole is. Or is an iConsole? I don't know. There is an iConsole. We looked at it the other day. I don't know what the properties are. Let's say we need a let's say we implement a read line. What's that going to do? String read line. Let's make this thing. I don't know. Public string. What else am I going to want? I'm going to want to be able to print, right? So what's that going to be? A write line? Right? Implement a write line. So we implement a read line, we implement a write line, maybe. And let's do this. Let's do this before we do anything else. Let's override on init async. On after render async, I don't need JavaScript set up, so on init async I think would be fine. Okay, let's just complain about return. Something. Yeah, we'll do that. Return something. I'm not sure why that. Oh, it's going to say this can be like written like this. I don't have to intend to turn that off. I prefer this way if it's going to end like that, but half the time I'm in the middle of something. But okay, so public. Public void write line. I'm going to take a string or something, and what am I going to do with that? So we're calling that thing up there output. Then our write line method's going to append to it, right? Which makes me think that we probably want, if we're going to write a line at a time, we're going to want a list of strings, right? So let's make this a list of string. It's going to be my output, and it's going to, don't think that'll bind, right? I don't think that would bind. I do need a constructor. No, we can do that with this. After this thing, I don't need to do that, so this is fine. And what I need to do is build that output equals new list of string, please. There we go. Okay, so now that's going to be that. Now we could make another property, public string text, which yields our output dot toString. And I think that'll give us like all of this. Right line is going to say, given a string, take my output and add a string that was passed in, like that. That should work, right? Okay, so read line's going to have to do something from my text input. So it's almost as if I want my text area to just be the input and then the thing to scroll up and move, but that seems yeah, that seems reasonable. Why don't I think that? Okay, so let's see, text area is always that command line. And this is like the previous output, right? Right? So what do I want this to be? For lack of anything better at the moment, let's put our output. No, not our output. Text. There. Now, okay, where's our AutoNet async base on init? Let's turn this into a block, maybe. There, let me do it. All right. So what do I want to do here? Output dot add. So AutoNet async is going to happen the first time the thing comes in. So let's put our little welcome. Blazor CLI console. Why not that? Let's, whoops, Control-Z, copy, and then welcome to Blazor CLI console with an E on it. And this CLI should actually be, how about just the Blazor console? Whatever. And add in another line here. Just as a second line test. You put in a little advertisement in this thing. How about we just put in line 1? I just want to make sure that it's displaying multiple lines. That's all I want to see. Okay, I don't think this needs to do anything, but calling it doesn't hurt anything. I'm sure this doesn't do anything. What does it say? I think it even tells us override this method of referring to segment to refresh. Okay, alright, read line something, output dot add string a string. It's going to complain saying that can be written as an expression like that. Alright, now when this thing runs, it should actually have a couple things in it, right? If it compiles. Done compile. Cannot implicitly convert type string to system collections generic list. Oh, we still have this bound. Our text area is bound to our output, and I think our text area should be bound to something called input, right? Because that's going to be, this is going to be our output up here. This is going to be our input over there. So close the G, don't care. And so now we're going to have output, and then this one is going to be a string. Input, get set. All right, now I'll go back over there. That makes more sense, right? Text area can be bound to that input item, and I'm going to do that. So then we're going to need to, although that's input, it's going to constantly be changing. Right? What we want to know is we want to be able to enter the command. Right? When we press enter, then we're going to move that up into the text or the output, I think. Yeah, why not? All right, Control F5. Fire this thing up. See what we can get to happen. Come on. Super slow. There we go. And we could have put it on the home page, and we wouldn't have to click this button all the time. All right, so Blazor CLI system collections generic .list/1 system.toString. I think my list.toString is not the option that we want there. And then enter command is done from this. Okay, so where did I screw that up? CLI razor. And the output is text dot join. How do we put in oh, for God's sake. There's the key, carriage return line feed. Is that how we're going to join these? Text to join. Yeah, and then throw it in a string. Let's see. List of strings. And I'm just trying to write this stupid character. But you just say, I mean, you can type it in like this. Line feed. What is it? It reads correctly. Oh, it escaped me now. Okay, so C#. Carriage return, line feed. Okay, and somebody's gonna tell me this stupid thing. Yes, I'm looking in the wrong spot. Yes, thank you. It's like, good golly, right? System.lineFeed. Yeah. Oh, and join should be on this. Should be on this stinking thing, but it isn't. So it actually cut string.joins the join character. Why is it complaining about that? Comma output here like that. I just need it for the parameter. Okay, now I took forever just to do that. Now we should see line 1, welcome to Blazor console on there. System environment new line. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. That way I don't care if I'm on Linux or whatever. adjust. All right, so now we're running. Pull back over here and go to the counter page. Blazor CLI line 1. Welcome to the Blazor console. And look at that. Look at that. See, it doesn't print on 2 lines. If you inspect that thing, what's it going to have in there? Because it's HTML, right? It's HTML. So line 1 comes in there like that, and welcome to the Blazor console is the next thing. But because it's all in a div, it doesn't really care, right? So what you should do then is probably, I can't generate a raw HTML in the thing. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see how this guy is doing it in JavaScript. What is he actually doing? Window. No, he's using some other third-party library, blah, blah, blah. Oh, actually using Markdown. It's actually using Markdown in that. I wonder if I could use. I think we have a Blazor component that does support Markdown, and then I could actually just put in a carriage return or a BR. But if I tried to join this, see, I was thinking ahead, right? But I really need to build the output. But if I tried to say, hey, join this, this is a string, with a /br like that, what the heck does it actually do? It won't convert this because it'll just put a BR/ in there. That's what it'll do. Because this is after it's like string content. Yeah, so if I use Markdown though, it would reparse it. Alright, so coming up over here on the left, and like I said, just put the BR / in it like that, right? Alright, so problem number 1 that we have to deal with. Next, okay, so we don't like this. Right, so I don't know how we're going to deal with that. I don't know how I'm going to deal with that yet. Do I want to build I could just build a list, right? And then each time output goes in, I could just append an item to it, for each. Right? Right, so instead of div text, you just basically say what for each. Whatever the syntax is, var I in output. For each var I in output, do this, and that would be output, or not output, but I, which I is a string, right? I, and then except it can't figure out what the heck's going on, right? So I need to do a text. I need to do a text to tell it, hey, not text area, but hey, put this back, put some text in there with an @I, right? And then follow that by a break. Wonder what that does. Yeah, I should do the trick, right? Just saying, hey, put the text in there and then put a break return, and then the next one come around, do it again and again and again. Now I should get a couple lines. Let's see. So the at on the for each tells I'm in C# code. That I by itself would be confusing to it, I believe. I don't think I can put the I just there by itself. If I put the text in, it should solve the problem. Be nice if that just popped up on this side instead of coming over there every time, wouldn't it? Maybe if I open up another one and leave it open, solve that problem. Look at that, Blazor CLI, line 1. Welcome to Blazor console, line 2. Now if we inspect, you've got the ugliest CLI on the planet, right? Looky here. What the heck is that? Why all the space? I don't know that. Okay, so here's line 1, line 2. I've heard some people complain there's an issue about these comments, but they're in there for some reason to help with the rendering. I could also easily add line numbers to this, couldn't we? We could just put the index on it if we wanted to, but who cares for now? All right, so now if I enter in a command, that would be my next thing to do. Right? Notice that text area, you can scroll down, but you can't make it wider. Yeah, oh well. Okay, so there's that. All right, now we want to be able to, so we have bind on the input. Let's say on, I want to be at on, is it key press? X key press and key down, I forget the difference. I mean, there's key up. It's either key up or key down. What's the press? I forget, but on key press is what we're going to do. We're going to say that's equal to at some function, and we're going to put that function back here, right? And that's going to be, you know, it would be nice if I could just say on, call this like handle key press, right? It should show up as red. It doesn't exist. And then if I said generate on a control dot, wouldn't that be nice? But control dot doesn't do squat, so it doesn't work yet. So handle key press, because then I have to actually think about the syntax for this method. Because what events, what is it? So on key press should tell me event handler. It's a delegate of type something, right? It takes in UI keyboard. A delegate value should be of type UI keyboard event args. UI keyboard event args. UI keyboard event args. Okay. There's that, and that, and then we do this. Okay, so what do we do? If, okay, so there's, what keys do I care about? If starts with contains return a value indicating whether a specified substring occurs within the string. This is the key. The key is just I thought would be a key, a character, right? Key value of the key represented by the heck type is it? String. Alright, so let's do something strange here. On every key every stroke, we're going to add whatever the heck was passed in right now. Like this. Just because I want to see what that thing passes me back. Is it pass back the whole string or what? So yeah, that's annoying. I don't care about the expression body thing at the moment. Yeah. I think it still runs, even though it shows it as an error because I tell it to tell me it's an error. I think the compiler's like, yeah, well, it's not really an error. Let's see if it runs. Now, every key that I press, I'm curious, is that building up a string? Because why is it a string? A key should be a character, right? I would have thought. Would have thunk. All right, so now if I enter in an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, yeah, it's just one character. Okay, whatever. I just thought it was easier to pass a string, even though it's really just a character. Fine. Okay, so now, if this dot key is equal to now I wonder if, you're going to press enter. Is that not the same thing as the system dot environment dot new line? Don't know. If it's that, and then we're going to say output dot add. Oh, we wrote this little helper method. Why aren't we using that? Right? So we're trying to make it look like console.writeLine. You pressed enter. Okay, Control F5. So we add some CSS styles to this thing. We could have a half decent looking little text area, put a cool, let the person pick their background, right? Of course, that's so important. Or I just pick it for them. All right, so let's see, calendar page. All right, now, A, B, C, D, enter. Notice it didn't actually say you pressed enter. So that's not, it's not actually enter. I didn't realize that was, and that's why keys is string, I guess. It comes in as a string. All right, so where do you get that, right? Where do you get that thing? AUI keyboard event args dot meta key, shift key, repeat key, meta key, location key, control key, code, alt key. I was looking for one that might just tell me. That might just be like enter, control key. Ah, come on. Let's see if I can search and find that out. UI keyboard event args key enter. Well, Google search how to trigger button click on enter W3 schools. Bind enter key to specific button on page. I thought that UI keyboard event args would have put me in C# world, but type in Blazor there. Using binding or enter key press, do not receive the actual. Right, I believe that's expected. The bind is handled using the onChange event, which isn't triggered until after onKey press is fired. Value from. Okay, look here for general idea. Oh, this guy uses enter. I guess we'll use enter. It's a magic string, so this would not make it into the final cut because that's just a bad thing. So we pull that out into a constant at some point. So the objective again is that all the commands are mediator commands. So just like I did on the console app, I should be able to pull in that tool and pass in the parameters from a line here. And with that, be able to execute a command, parse the command and execute it. So we'll see. What I'm concerned about is that the Java doc or the XML doc part of that console app is going to read a file, and that won't be possible from the command line, but I could still create the file and pull it down for the parser. Don't know. Okay, so running again. Now we should be able to hit enter, right? Go to the counter page. A, B, C, D. Hello. Enter. You pressed enter. Okay, so we see that seems to be working pretty well. Now let's clean that up. We don't need to put this right line out there every time anymore, because we've got it figured out. We figured out that that's the key that we're looking for. Read line could be something we do in our loop. Right now it's just saying something. Okay, so all right, so this keyboard right, you press enter. So what we really want to do here is we want to call. Oh, I want to check for one more. I want to check for one more character for our first before I keep going. I'm guessing it's going to say, it's going to be tab, spelled out like that. But I'm not sure. So when I hit tab, I want to be able to say, go out and look for suggestions so that it can auto-complete these commands too. If you have a command line, you'd have at least a decent one. And the system command line, we got that working last week. So we should be able to use that function here as well. Slow. All right, pops up over here again. I can't get it to stay on this side of the screen. It seems like no matter what I do. I've got a bazillion of them drug over here, but they won't pop back up over here. Still thinks it needs to be in that one. All right, so now tab. Oh, that's right. It's going to steal tabs. Oh, okay, so there's a command inside there. Text area, capture tab. Something like that. Use tab to indent in text area. Support tabs in text area. CS enable tab character insertion inside a text area. JS fiddle. How to make the tab key indent text in text area. Typing tab key inside a text area using JavaScript. Oh, yuck, you gotta be kidding me. Borrowing heavily from other answers from similar questions posted below. Key code equals e.keycode. What the heck is that? Oh, you sign it to the document. If keycode equals 9, e.prevent default. Var start equals this dot selection start. See, the simplest possible thing never turns into the simplest possible thing, does it? Look at that. Look at that. Shouldn't that just be a daggone setting inside of the tab, inside of the text area box that just says, you know, enable capturing of the tab key? Just pass that thing through. I mean, to me, you know, you might want that. Tab key then focuses, leaves the text area, but what about the situation where you want to type tab key in text area? Catch this event, return focus, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, here it is again. So that's the key down function, is what he's capturing, right? And then we have to say prevent default. Okay, so that shouldn't be too much, I guess. Although I don't know that I've done a prevent default at all on a Blazor component. And consider we're just going to override. I don't know if it's going to work, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's going to work. Say at on key down, is that what he said? Is equal to at handle key down. Handle key press, so public void handle key down. I assume it's the same args. Like that. And then I don't know how you call prevent default. Okay, got it. I have to look something else up again. Okay, so let's see, Blazor prevent default. Prevent default Blazor input. I had a simple question. I don't know this guy, amazingly, but I know the answer. Mr. Magoo. Yeah, I sure do. All right, rather than using bind to prevent the keystroke, you can set the value and handle the on input event like this. Rather than using bind to prevent the keystroke, okay, but how do you, int string blah blah blah. This is a dummy text. Okay, so what was he trying to do? I have a simple application with an input field that should insert a predefined piece of text as you type. The code I have looks like this. When input is open, I press a letter on my keyboard that should add the first letter from the string underscore petition to the input. When I press any letter on my keyboard, it should enter the second letter in the input field, and so on. The problem I have is that it also adds the letter at the end of the input that I pressed on my keyboard. I want to prevent this from happening. Okay, so that's a different scenario. So he just avoids the whole thing. Mr. Magoo answered that. Don't know this one either. So that's not telling me how to prevent default, right? You just happen to say those words in there. Enable control over event propagation and default actions. Insert state propagation of events. How do I implement drag and drop in Blazor? Blazor drag and drop. Stop propagation versus prevent default in JavaScript. Understanding e.prevent default. All right. There's a button that uses prevent default on the submit. Automatically calls prevent default on submit events. Well, that's great, but how do I get it to call prevent default? Surely we can do prevent default, right? But I don't know how. Location, meta key, repeat shift, toString, type. So, I don't know how to do it. Shocking as that may be. Will require more research. Okay, so it's 2:15. I haven't even got the first half of this thing done yet. I think I'm just going to have to write all of the stuff before the sessions, not give you any freshness whatsoever, because my freshness is just too slow. All right, so, but this is real life. This is what it takes. You're like, okay, go back and forth, back and forth. So I forgot, of course, that the tab's going to be default to move me to the next item. I thought we could just like turn on capture tabs or something in HTML5. HTML5 tab area, or text area, capture tabs. Use tab to enter in text area. Support tabs in text area. CSS tricks. Enable tab character insertion in text area. Yeah, and they're all going to say prevent default. And then I'm going to say how. Alright, so let's see if let's just do this anyway. Dot key. Let's do this. Add this down here. And let's see what the name of it is, at least, if that works. What's it complaining about? Oh, use expression body. I don't care. All right, so let's see what happens. Build, build, build. Slow, slow, slow. Build succeeded. It's firing up, of course, on the other screen. And go to counter, and we click tab here. And it does say tab. It also highlights this other. So that works fine if I could just figure out I could just figure out, so if this guy equals tab, isn't that what it was showing me? Capital T-A-B, yeah, just like that. All right, so equals tab. Then we need to say right line offer suggestion now kind of thing, right? And then somehow or another you say prevent default. I don't know how to do it. Blazor on key down, prevent default. Key down event on input gets canceled. Well, mine doesn't, but I would like to. Okay, let's see, does anybody show any code in here? Don't prevent default on events. Fixed. Starting in 04, button with the C# implement on click event header will submit form. Form with on submit sends post to server. Is there a way to stop propagation of events? Okay. I guess I could share the screen that I'm reading. Just GitHub issues. I'm still looking for to prevent default. Not presently. Okay, so this is May 21, 2018. Is there any way in an on-click, I guess, using UI mouse event arcs to stop the click from propagating? The main difficulty is that we want to run the .NET code in a worker thread. Then the bubbling and propagation decisions would all have to happen asynchronously. Without it, having an on-click on an A tag doesn't seem to work. This doesn't work for me. It changes the location to backslash. Bool is open void on click if open, blah, blah, blah. Don't change location here, only toggle where it's open. Button with C# implement on click event header will submit form. Not being able to stop event propagation is pretty bad, especially inside a framework that encourages you to use nested components. There's simply no way to prevent unwanted events from bubbling to a parent component. If the following example had 3 buttons, I think that is already a common request. Problem here, people must stop the propagation of events. There are situations in which events should always propagate, default behavior, or always not propagate. Maybe this can be solved by adding a new attribute like on event name dash stop propagation. Yeah, I think I've read this. Sometimes we want to make decisions in an event handler. He said that it is difficult. Okay, yes, that is pretty clear. Come up with some way of doing it like you suggested. It will probably be a variation on the event registration syntax. On click, stop propagation equals true. All right, by the way, scenario for this, it's a non-trivial bit of functionality to implement, so we need more info to know how much to prioritize it. I think this also would resolve it. All right. As we know, use plus and minus keys to increment, decrement numeric values. EV EV handle equals true. Okay. I have no experience in JavaScript programming, but maybe this will be useful. Further example for you, Steve. This one causes many problems too because of the frequency of the events. It actually trashes the GC fairly quickly. GC's garbage collector, pull menu is open. Leave having on click is not a good idea. In many cases it happens. I want to propagate / stop the event based on some status condition. Yeah, I agree. I don't like it. I'd rather just do it in the handler. But like you're saying, it's a non-trivial. All good. My reply was meant to sound what it did. I had some clients winding me up earlier that day, particularly patient, forgiving mood. Never write angry when on GitHub. Blazor rocks. No 2 ways about it. That's true. I don't see this. Okay, enable control over event propagation and default actions. Blazor, anchor tab. Oh, look, there you go. Sanderson referenced this one. And it's still open. July 3rd, 2018, 31 comments. What about using attributes on the target property? Stop propagation, prevent default. Mr. Magoo's going to town on it. But notice it's still open. Constraint, synchrony. Design. Control over default actions. Okay, so it looks like he's got a design. Though doesn't make sense without conditions, as you won't be able to type in the text box. I can understand there being an issue with async for stop propagation. However, prevent default I think is different. This is without really understanding any of the code you guys have written. They don't have to be implemented the same way. By the way, I'm loving working with Blazor Razor components. Yes, we all are. I understand it's a problem with Blazor on the server, but I believe that people will prefer clients like Blazor in the future when it will be fully supported. I agree with that too. For those of us, it would be nice to have a fully functional framework without artificial limitations. Alright, so Lucy, I'm not going to be in a position to do this during preview 6, which is the one we're on right now. So that means this doesn't exist. Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle, right? Okay, so we can get around this for now. We just need some key to tell us what our suggestions are. So while this thing's running, let's go type some other keys and figure out which one we want to be the suggestion key. Because tab has a default. What does the arrow key do? Let's go in here and hit the arrow key. It has defaults too. They don't do anything because they're all inside there. So let's see, what is control tab? Control tab sucked up by the outside browser, which makes sense, right? So Let's see. What key do you want? What keys are even available to the browser that get in there in the first place, right? That come to the item. The tab key actually shows up in there. Caps lock. Alt tab is going to be sucked out too. So tab is by far obviously what we want because that's what we do on the command line. So that would be what we want. But let's just say Control S. Well, that gets sucked out too. Well, for God's sake. Is the thing running or not? Well, Control F5. It's 2:30. Man, live. I thought I could get this almost done in a short of an hour and a half session. But I guess not. So I'll try to continue to work on this. And then the next session we'll do this again with more success. And lessons are always learned, and one lesson is basically don't do any project you haven't done already. We can fly through this if you've already got it done because you've already solved all the problems. All right, so Alt F. The F showed up, and the Alt, and then the F. So Alt, Alt. But Alt takes you outside of the keyboard, just interestingly. Caps Lock shows up. Of course, performs this normal thing too. What about Shift? Shift shows up. So what about Shift Tab? Yeah, Shift Tab. Yeah. How about we just look for the @ symbol? Because that's just terrible. Right? What the heck else do you have? Backspace shows up, makes it inside there. Page down. Page down, page up. They all have their daggone default actions, right? End. Home. Those keys are available. Unidentified. That's a stupid insert key. Which I think I've shut off in the registry because you never want to use that key. Yeah, I don't see anything else that I can do. Just pick a character, right? You know, Alt-G or something. Not even Alt-G because that all takes things down. So you just have to pick like a %, right? And that at least leaves you in the daggone thing. All right, so we'll go with something like that. But it's 2:30 times up already. We'll have to try again next week, and I'll just go ahead and build this whole thing out and have a GitHub repo to go for next week, and then we can just go over it as opposed to you guys being tortured watching me write this. All right, thanks very much, and I'll catch you all next week, hopefully with a working console app. All right, thanks.